This is the Swipe Smart podcast. Join 80s babies Heather and Adam as they give perspective and share stories to help you navigate modern dating after 35. Welcome to Swipe Smart.
Welcome to another episode of Swipe Smart. I am your co-host, Heather.
And I am Adam.
Hi. Welcome back.
Hi.
I'm so excited because we are on a roll. Just call us Butter because we're on a roll right now. And we have another episode, of course, on Swipe Smart. We're here to share stories, offer insight on modern dating after 35. We're here every week offering advice, giving you some insight, sharing some stories, funny or not funny. Sometimes we get a little deep. Most importantly, on Swiping Smart, we just want to give you the encouragement that we all attempt to navigate intentional modern love, modern day love.
Big time. And remember, we come to you twice a week, so every Monday and Thursday. Thursday is kind of a quickie, as we like to say, in the dating community.
No, just so here. The Swipe Smart is the Thursday episode's a quickie. So those are the Swipe Smart quickies.
Yeah.
And then these are the more extended episodes.
Yes, this is like the true regular podcast that you know and have come to love. So thank you for joining us. Remember to like and subscribe, share with your friends, and on YouTube, my favorite place for you to catch us. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you know when new content drops. Also, be sure to follow the show notes because we have a lot of cool stuff in there. The coolest thing is definitely going to be the masterclass.
Yes. Go to 30pause.com. In February, which is probably now, we are going to be getting the actual masterclass up and running again. This will be, another round of great participants in the Swipe Smart Love Hard masterclass, where I'm just talking about mastering online dating, modern dating with a twist, and so giving you all of the tactics, insight, strategies. It's very interactive, and that's what I love about having and facilitating masterclasses. That I want to make sure it's very interactive and that people are feeling like they're really getting something out of it. And so if you are not live, you are going to receive a recording, but if you are, it's even better and you're going to receive all the good things. So be sure to register at 30pause.com for the Swipe Smart Love Hard Masterclass.
Very cool. So welcome again to episode 5. Now, what the hell are we talking about?
What the hell are we talking about today? So I have learned this through dating, especially dating in my 30s, that I needed to get the hell out of my comfort zone. Because when we realize we're repeating patterns and we're dating the same people, like not the same person, but the same type of person.
Hopefully not.
Not the same person over and over, but the same type of person, you know what I mean? Just in a different body. Then, that's a comfort zone that we need to start, stretching out of and getting out of. So be comfortable with being uncomfortable, especially when I think it goes with your type. A lot of times, men and women, they always go for, that's my type, that's my physical feature, I like those physical features, or I like women in this profession because they have this sort of schedule. I've heard this. So is your type actually your type, or is it just the people you have access to? And so I want to keep exploring on that, in that question. Also, exploring and expanding outside your types kind of help you break those patterns. And so I want to talk about that. Is there a specific type, Adam, that you have, a person, like a woman that you are constantly like, that's my type. That's the chick. I like it.
So question then, on the type, do you mean physically what they look like?
Yeah, physically their type.
Okay, then
Or
no.
do you just find constantly saying that? Because I always be like, I really don't have the type, and then I'm like, I'm kind of still dating the same.
No, because I've dated like black. I've dated super pale, paler than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not that pale. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
Because now you're
self-tanner. Thank you.
Yeah. So no, absolutely not. From redhead to blonde to brunette, literally, I have a rainbow. So it's not that. My type is more when you said, it resonated with me when you said, I like this kind because of their schedule. And you're like, I've heard that. Mm-hmm. Well, what hit me was I do like someone that either is an entrepreneur like me or has a normal, what I would call human style schedule, meaning 9 to 5 off on weekends. To me, that's a normal human. Now, I get that that's also in 2024.
Right.
It's not fair. I will fully admit that, but hold on a minute. You just asked what my type was. I'm not saying that it's fair.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Just saying your type. You don't have to worry about the
type.
semantics.
Like, yeah. Because I would enjoy dating like a nurse. But there's no way that's 9 to 5. Like, those are like 12-hour days sometimes. They're on every third day of the month and this. I can't keep track of nurses' schedule.
I've literally read a dating profile. He was like, I will not date hairstylists. I will not date nurses. I will not date. And I was like,
Yeah, like, that is wild.
I was like, whoa. Because your way he was doing was he was just mashing up all the stereotypical crazy things you hear about like nurses and hairstylists. And I was just like, I got a tickle out of that dating profile.
Yeah.
But okay, so you don't have like a physical type, but you have a type that is who she is
pretty,
and how she runs her life.
Yeah, because that is way more huge to me. First of all, now that we are a little bit older, I will say that I don't think looks are what they were when we were 21. If this podcast was for people who were dating as 21-year-olds, I think that we would have different things to say.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't want to be attracted to my woman. Of course I do. But what I'm saying is, like, even in 25 years, we're just simply not going to look the same. And I'm really, truly looking for a best friend. I'm still going to think you're pretty even when you're 60.
Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely probably will. But what I'm saying is, like, I want us to match on a level of scheduling. Do you enjoy keeping a normal human style? To me, normal human, like 9 to 5, off weekends, we get to travel every month, like at least one time, and that kind of thing. And the reason why I said something like nurse or a teacher is what I also like. The reason I think that is because it shows me your heart. And I enjoy when a woman has a heart of service, not serve me and not be my servant. A service attitude means for your fellow man, not for me.
Yeah.
Now, yes, especially when I'm sick, I would love if you had the heart to say, oh, babe, what do you need?
Yeah.
Of course, but come on. But so when I say servant's heart, I'm not like, oh, this guy just wants his woman to serve him all day. I'm not saying that, but man, it's just a good feeling when I know that my female that I'm with, like, will send out a postcard to someone because they know they had a bad day. That has nothing to do with me. That doesn't make me anything.
It's not self-serving.
Yeah, but because she's a great person, that makes me feel good. Like, yeah, that's my girlfriend. Or, yeah that's my wife. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
And so if you're like a kindergarten teacher or a nurse, chances are you're a sweet person.
So you're already attracted to them because of that part of their personality and who they are as a whole.
And what that possibly means is that, yes, they have a servant's heart.
Okay.
They just usually do. I don't meet too many kindergarten teachers that are like, I hate people.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not usually a thing. Like, if you're in finance and you just crunch numbers, you might say that. Oh, I hate people. That's fair. Well, you're probably not my type.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to do with looks at all. I just want a pretty face.
Yeah.
If you're pretty, then okay.
Yeah, there has to be physical attraction.
Yeah.
It's romance. We can't just like not be attracted to the people. To the people that we are, looking to get to know more and possibly date. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, my typical type is like tall, dark, and handsome. It's all physical. I had a slew of like dating like athletes for a while. Very like typical, like, looks wise. I mean, grew up, but I grew up adult wise. I grew up in Tampa, right? But I grew up here. So I had a completely different like experience in that sort of thing. I really learned to kind of veer off that type because obviously I felt like I was dating essentially like the same person, just a different body. So I was in getting the same results, right? So that was me breaking my own pattern of like kind of branch out a little bit and, you know, who's this little cute little nerd over here? And like, oh, he's, you know, like I really am a sapiosexual at 1000%. Like, stimulate my brain. Let's have really great conversation. I mean, let's talk about philosophy. Let's talk about values. Let's, you know, and like make it organic and make it fun. And so for anyone who is going to create and have engaging conversations with me and ask me questions, I'm immediately turned on because you are wanting to get to know me and create, you know, conversation that's not so surface level, I should say, you know? So that's important to me. And so that has definitely been my type ever since I got out of my own little like vanity bubble of like dating the same physical look type.
See, you're talking about what I'm talking about. Like in your 20s, you went for
absolutely
the guy with
like,
washboard abs. It's not on the top of your list now.
And it's not to say that, no.
Of course, you're not going to say no.
Yes.
If a guy can stimulate your brain and he has washboard abs, what are you going to say? No, of course not. But I'm just saying, like, it's not at the front of your list in the same way that, I don't need the woman to have a thigh gap. Like, it's not something that's high on my list. Like, if she does, that means that she does probably work out and watches what she eats and whatever. Like, that's a positive thing. But I'm more in the stimulate my brain and are you a good person? Do you thank the wait staff? Are you not bitchy to them?
Yeah.
Do you help your fellow man? Do you like...
But that's not, you know, like I said, like I've said it before on the show too, like there, you know, two truths can still live in the same arena, you know, like I'm not dating someone I'm not that attracted to. And I have given like what I call medium ugly dudes a chance and they still fucked it up. So I'm kind of like, why would I even go out of my comfort zone so far that now I'm still like, now I'm compromising myself and my standards. And that is something that I had to learn through experience too. It's like I'm still not going to compromise what I want, and I understand and know that my standards and my requirements are what they are because of my experiences. But it also has taught me so much of knowing that like taking a chance on someone who doesn't really maybe like tick all the usual boxes, you know, physically or maybe, you know, whatever. I don't really care what people do for their jobs or anything like that. But, like, you know, if there's any sort of weird quirk or something that's kind of like, oh, it's a bit different, whatever it may be, it's like trying a new flavor of ice cream. You might just discover you have a new favorite. And that's really what dating out of your comfort zone is. And that's what I really try to push. And we talk a lot about that in the masterclass. But also just expanding on the fact that, like, you have to ask yourself really complex, difficult questions that you have never probably asked yourself before, so that you can realize, like, why do you feel like, you know, I've talked to many women men who are like, oh, I'm still dating that same like, it's the same person. It's like, okay, well, now it's you. Like, now you are the common denominator. Right? Like, so take a step back. Figure it out, like what's going to work for you, what's not. And when you're asking yourself those questions, then you're really starting to see yourself in a different light. When you start doing that, then you start going to choosing differently.
So
swiping smarter.
Personal story smarter. Time. I got a question here. So you guys, if you have not listened to episodes 1 and 2, I highly encourage that so that you can get to know us a little better. And in episode 2, you interviewed me and I kind of went through my dating story. You found out I was married and all that. And here's what I want to ask you. So in my dating life, I had gone through situations where I really was like infatuated with them, and they, for whatever reason, were more tolerating me at a proper level for them. but
Yeah.
I was like into them.
Yeah.
So the percentage that I liked them was more than they liked me. Now, I am not opposed to that moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's ridiculous to think that if we were dating, that I would like you the exact amount that you would like me. Exactly. 53%.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows some couples that can pull it off. They just, you see their dynamic and they're like, man, they are just even. And that's really cool.
Yeah.
But if you think that is the normal and that's what everyday people are, like, you're high on drugs. It doesn't, it just simply doesn't always work that way. And that's fine. But here's what I'm saying. So in my early days and learning how to date, it's all I knew. I was that puppy who was like, oh my gosh, she's so cute and I want to be around her all the time. And she was like, yeah, he's cool and he can be kind of cute and he does make me laugh. Like, that was the vibe.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so they liked me more. And then as soon as I found an opposite situation, put a ring on it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand that, hold on, pal. Well, let's hold on. Let's take a break. Hold on. Let's backtrack a little bit. Just because she's so into you, slow down. It doesn't mean that she's the one for you. You have to dissect a little bit of like, okay, well, why don't you think you like her as much?
Right.
What are the things? And not just because she was 11 years older. We talked about that. Like, she just happened to be 11 years my senior. But those weren't the main, those age wasn't the reason why we didn't work. It was deep down, I just didn't want to be with her. I loved the idea that she was there and that she was really into me. She wasn't necessarily my type.
Okay.
She was very sweet. She was. Anyone that meets her probably to this day would say, oh my gosh, she's the sweetest thing. But just overall, the things that she was into and the things that I was into that didn't match, but I looked past it because I was just so used to.
It segues into you, like, you know, what I also wanted to talk about in this episode is ignoring, like, have you ignored red flags
exactly
for chemistry? And are you listening to, and that's, you know, circling back with your story, you sharing your experience with that. You ignored the red flags.
And that's what I was going to ask. What should I have been, if you were to walk me through back then, what is something that you would point out where you could say, look, at this time that you got together with your ex-wife, what you weren't looking for was, and it sounds like it's some of these red flags that you kind of, you're assuming then I kind of just blew past them then. I must have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And were you subconsciously doing that or were you consciously doing that? Because I have consciously and subconsciously blew over some red flags.
Great point. Great point. Because there are some ways that I said, well, God will take care of it. I truly did. I was like, this is a struggling point for us, but don't all couples go through this? And all couples go through things, but not things that we were going through. I remember talking to my mom, and my dad's a retired pastor and has counseled more people than you would even ever want in your master class. You couldn't handle it. You'd be like, guys, that's enough. I've made too much money. Like, get them out. Like, that's how many people he's counseled. And 51% of those times, my mom is there with him. And she's just learned a thing or two. I mean, just being married to him for a while and being in the church. And, like, she just knows a thing. Even though she doesn't have the training that he does, she's right there with him. And she said to me, Adam, I got to be honest, you guys, we have a lot of married couples or newlyweds or engaged couples that we talk to. No one is having the problems that you guys are having. And that stuck out to me like a sore thumb. And I still went ahead and proposed and got married and did all the things because I kept saying, God will take care of it. He always takes care of me and blah, blah. I looked past it.
And you can be a strong person of faith and still continue to have struggles in a relationship and know that it's going to require digger thought and digger. This is like what my brain is right now. It's going
Mush?
to require
brain's
mush. It's going to require bigger acts of self-love, which then requires you to then step out of your comfort zone some more and maybe ask for help outside of the church or how you choose to do that. And there is, and that's kind of, it's you're a product of your, environment. That's how you grew up. And that's that's why you asked your mom, that question, or you were having that discussion with her. And she did it through her experience and what she, things like that. But at the same time, everybody's going to have very complex questions that they're going to have to pause and ask themselves.
Yeah.
Am I compromising myself? Am I actually really happy? Or do I just, am I doing this, and I did it subconsciously for years. And then when I did it and it brought it to light consciously and realized how unhappy I was like, oh my gosh, actually I knew this all along. And, not to get too woo-woo, but like the answer is always going to be within you. You can always have, again, I encourage, any sort of faith or spirituality that people want to practice and go down and say, and there are some things in life that you're like, universe got to take care of that because I don't know what you know what I mean? But it's not the ones that that your inner compass is navigating you in a direction that just doesn't feel right. I think that's that gut instinct.
It's hard too because I was 29. And I always go back to, was I just a wuss? I just didn't have the balls to say, you know what, I can't do this. We aren't right for each other. I am infatuated with the idea that you're infatuated with me. Look how easy that rolls off my tongue now.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah. As a 43-year-old.
Yes.
Like,
right.
It rolls off the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the guts to, even bring that up in a conversation.
Yeah.
I just kept saying, no, babe, it's good. We're going to make it. That's the conversation. Because looking back, she even gave me an out. She even said every once in a while when she had her doubts, she said, are you sure? She would have those conversations with me. Now, she was 40.
Yeah.
She was older than what you are now.
Yeah.
And I was 29.
Yeah.
Just think about that. So she probably was real with herself and probably was ahead of the game in that regard, ahead of the curve compared to what I was. And she probably knew better, and she still took a chance on me. And I blew it because I let her down because I didn't have the guts to say, man, there's not too many more people I care about than you.
Yeah.
There's not too many more people that I even want to kiss right now. However, I just don't know if in 50 years that we should be married to each other. Well, that's not an easy thing to say.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not. But so I just let it go.
Yeah.
And I ignored the red flags. Which here are some red flags that I think is important to keep in mind. Okay. When the person that you're dating or the person that you're with tells you XYZ, that's why they like being with you, because you XYZ. You're good with kids. You like to play sports. You're active. You light up a room. Everyone knows when you're in the room and you make them feel good. Okay. When those are the things that they like, and then later they're asking you to not do those things. So you light up a room. That means you go to a party. You had a party planned for 10 days. The day before, they're like, well, do you have to go? Wait a minute. That was the thing that drew you to me. When I have softball Wednesday night at 7 and at 6:30, you text me, oh, I kind of just wanted you to come over. Do you have to go to softball? I play softball 12 times a year. There's 365 days. You're wanting me to cancel when you said the thing that turned you on about me was that I was into sports and played sports. Now, 20 minutes before I have to leave, you're going to ask me not to play. Those are red flags. Those are things that, wait a minute, ladies, why are you, and I'll say ladies because I'm a man who dates ladies. I'm not saying that men don't do it either.
Right.
I'm just speaking right now. You can talk to men. I'll talk to ladies.
Right.
ladies, why do you do that? Why do you tell a guy that you're into XYZ, and then when they go do it, when they go do the XYZ, you say, "Oh, but do you have to do it tonight?"
Yeah,
or
that's just
when it's planned.
That's a cold hard case of she doesn't know what she wants. That's just what that is. That's just.
Well, I've had it happen multiple times.
Yeah, and being honest with yourself and asking good questions like, "Am I actually really ready today? Am I willing to date? Am I really ready to put into the work and be my authentic self at the same time, still get my needs met and meet their needs?" Like, you have to understand, like, when you are having these experiences, 1 or 2, 3 dates, that's great because you're just getting to know them. I think a lot of times people, when they ignore those red flags, they're surpassing that. They're compromising themselves. Yeah. They're rushing it.
Because they want it to work.
They want it to work, and they want that,
I'm cool off that, bro.
They are rushing that experience.
I've learned so much now that, like, I even had a situation recently, a girl that I was telling you about that I was kind of excited for, but, like, I was keeping it cool to a certain level because I just knew. And what do you know? Literally don't talk to her anymore. Like, because I wasn't going to go gaga because I've done that before and things don't go well and you get hurt. So you have to, like,
pace.
Pace, man, is huge.
Yeah,
pace.
And I think that's what, again, from a female perspective, they can you start at that 100%. As a woman, you're starting at 100%. You're giving that man 100%. He gets an A++. And then, are you compromising yourself and not giving him now a B because this is about him and that, like, this isn't really what you like or what you want?
But he has washboard abs.
So you know what I mean? Like, and I think you're just, when you're getting more specific and you're maturing and you're emotionally becoming available, but also emotionally mature with just how you're handling the intelligence of what you should be doing when you're doing. Understanding pace is really important, and still keeping your own individuality and your own life and your own pursuits. This isn't like an easy thing to navigate. This isn't, if it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy, our generation would have had kids a long time ago.
And we wouldn't have this podcast.
We wouldn't be having this podcast, right? So that's the whole point of it for me, is that, being discerning is swiping smart. It being a slow but steady pace is really, that's who wins the race, And it's realizing that you don't have it all together and you don't really know, and it's okay to change your mind too.
Big time okay to change your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's for sure a thing.
For sure.
One thing too is I feel like it's tough when you're in that communication phase of how do you go from so let me ask you this. If I went on a first date with you and said, "So, what are you looking for? Are you looking to go on a few dates, figure out if I can be your best friend, eventually get married, and we would talk through morals and how we want to have our be as a couple and things like that." If I said that on the first date, is that a little too deep?
I think it can be a little too deep. It just depends on, like, the level of conversations that you guys are having. And
beforehand, maybe.
And beforehand, you know what I mean? So if you're, like, having, like, wow, we just had a really good conversation, an hour and a half on the phone. It felt really organic, and it kind of got a little deep there, but cool, now I know. Like, I don't see anything wrong with this. Stop putting these timelines as to, like, realizing, oh, that's a little too much for the first date. Don't lay it on thick.
If you didn't have that, though, let's say you didn't have that hour and a half, or you didn't.
No, then that would be like, whoa, okay, all right. Well, I just want to make sure this is a first date. I just want to make sure I like your ass, okay? I just want to make sure that I actually enjoy this company and I like your ass and I'm having fun. And I'll figure out the rest later. You know what I mean? But if that's not something that is even in a conversation that you've had before, what have you, but should that come up organically and you're talking about it? Absolutely. Like, be mature enough to know that, like, these conversations need to be had. That's why, going back to the other episode about creating that dating profile, your relationship goals, set them very clearly so we know, like, you know, they can have long-term but open to short. To me, when they say long-term open to short, meaning, yeah, I'm looking to actually date and have a long-term relationship, but should that not happen with you in particular, that's fine, and I'm open to having that short-term experience with you. Every experience is going to create a better idea and more specificity in your mind as to what you want and what you're not willing to compromise on, and give you just a better sense of self. When you have a better sense of self, then you're dating in a smart way.
And talk about dating in a smart way. Again, the best way to do that is to go to our sponsor, 30 Pause Podcast. There you will find the masterclass. Tell us a little bit about what the 30 Pause movement really is and dissect what you're getting with the masterclass and where we can find it. Remember, the link is in the show notes.
Absolutely. So 30 Pause is a lifestyle brand I created a few years back, and I started a podcast just to talk about the things that really change in your life in your 30s and how you transform in your 30s and how it can be a weird time and it also can be a very enlightening time. And so, I, you know, in the podcast and with the my online presence and things like that, I really just like to kind of be my authentic self and spread the word that you're not alone on this crazy roller coaster of life. But at the same time, there are so many different facets because it's a lifestyle brand. So one of the facets just being, you know, talking about relationships and navigating your relationships. Hence me creating the masterclass, the Swipe Smart Love Hard masterclass, is because that's what my audience was talking about. That's what they were like, this is so hard. This is, you know, and so for me, creating the masterclass is just showing you that if you have the right mindset and you're creating the life you've always imagined, and going with that 30 Pause motto of doing so, then it will enhance all facets of your life, your finances, your love life, your career, your hobbies and pursuits, your passions, your dreams, you know, things that you really want to create for your life. So this is just like a slice of 30 Pause. This is the Swipe Smart Love Hard masterclass. So giving you guys a slice of what it takes to ask yourself the hard questions, give you tangible things to refer back to when it comes to swiping smart, and understanding that this is really about you and not, you know, trying to control or figure out, you know, men or women or whomever you're dating, right? It's not like I'm not trying to dissect and feel like, you know, I have men figured out or I have women figured out. Like, we're never going to figure each other out on that deep level. It's just really about figuring yourself out, what you want, and then you get so many takeaways from the class. So it's a live masterclass. It's interactive. I love facilitating with, especially just because of my teaching background. It's my comfort zone, but then actually really making it interactive and having participants in the class just really, you know, getting into the chat and asking me questions after. It's just a really fun time, and it really just creates a sense of community because you're not in this alone. Like, we're here to find love and connection, and that's the common denominator of it all.
100%. One question I have about the masterclass that I think can help people, what would you say is maybe one of the frequently asked questions about the masterclass that you can speak to because, hey, this is the platform for it?
Frequently asked questions for the masterclass. That's actually a really good question.
I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but I was really curious. I was really curious. This wasn't like rehearsed or anything.
Yeah.
But this can help people because if they're listening and they're like, well, they're interested, I felt like, okay, well, this could be something that like,
I think people mainly are like, well, what am I going to get out of it? They want to know, like, what am I getting out of it? But what you're really getting out of it is just actual prompts and ideas for you to create great conversation to make sure on that first day, is this someone I'm really going to want to vibe with and get to know and even like them even more? Is this someone of value that I feel like could add value to my life? We're 30 plus years old, like, how are you going to add to our life now? Like, what is going to really truly make a difference? And so I'm giving you date ideas. I'm giving you different strategies, how to catfish a location. I call it location catfishing, which is just basically going into different cities and saying, hey, I don't actually live in the city, but it's a surrounding city and blah, blah, blah. So these are all these different tactics and strategies and approaches. That's what you're getting out of the class. That's what you're going to get is fresh perspective and actual tangible ways to like, oh, I've never thought of that. Let me try this. Yep. Oh, my profile is a little wonky. Ooh, Heather said I should try this. Do it.
These are set of eyes.
These are a second set of eyes because and these are based off of, my own experiences of being on dating apps for 10 years. And then actually only for the past, I would say about 4 or 5 years, I've actually enjoyed dating. And that's 5 years worth of study of failure. Awesome. and me being single now is not a failure for me. Like, and that's another thing, right? It's a choice. It's for me to really like choose the life I'm truly like living and want to live and things like that. So again, that's the biggest question is, well, what am I going to get out of it? Like, what are we going to talk about? You know what I mean? I think a lot of times people understand like, oh, masterclass, like, I don't know, can have a connotation to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's the biggest question for sure.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Love that. So again, remember to check the show notes for all that stuff. Okay, so what is something that you see? Talk to the men. I talk to the ladies because that's who I'm interested in. That's who I can be frustrated with. I don't know what the guys are doing. I'm not interested in them. So as you, and again, what I love asking you questions about things like this is it's good also for women to hear so that they can also get their head around some of these ideas too. So it's like when you speak, I feel like it is truly beneficial for both parties, women and men, with your background. I'm kind of here to offer like a male perspective and add some things, but I'm truly not in the movement the way that you are. So what is something that you see that men are doing either as a whole in dating or what we're talking about, looking through some of these things? Like, are there red flags that you think guys overlook a lot in general? Like either having women having kids at different ages and men aren't really up for that and they just don't worry about it until it comes up in their face and it's not good? Or is it, you know what I mean? Or is there something in particular that you have seen from clients talking about stuff? Or I'm just curious.
As in seeing like what red flags they're ignoring? Yeah. Men always are ignoring red flags because men are very physical eyes, looks, feature.
So if we're attracted to you.
So a lot of times, I've heard this multiple times and from even experience outside of the masterclass as well, or outside, the 30 Paws brand, just in general, in passing, they'd say, don't trust a girl with a pretty eyes and a big butt or something like that. And it's just like, well, no, you're lacking discernment because all you're thinking about is a physical feature.
Is the big butt.
And there's the pretty eyes and the big butt, and you're not actually going deeper. So it's universal in the sense of not listening to your gut. For women, it's more or less of them creating realities that don't exist. Like things that are not reality. Okay? And so they create a story in their mind about a guy and how he is and how he's going or how he could be for her, and it's not reality, right? And when people tell you who they are, believe them. Okay, I'm not really say if he's saying I'm not a big communicator and good on texting, and if texting and being a good communicator is important to you, believe him.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a good communicator
Don't be
or
mad
texter.
when
Okay,
he
believe
didn't
him
text
the
me back.
first time, right?
Yeah.
If someone says, men or women can say, I have, this schedule and that going on and whatnot, and I'm not available on that day or on these days that doesn't work for me. Or maybe she's a single mom and this is only the days that, work for her. And if you're willing to, respect that schedule, cool. But sometimes people really aren't because it's not benefiting them and it's very kind of self-serving.
Right.
So there's a lot of self-serving things that men ignore because they want to serve themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And it comes from a pretty self-centered way of thinking. Those are the two biggest things I constantly hear. Those are reminders of men and women. Women create realities that are false, that don't exist. And men, they ignore red flags because she's pretty.
Makes sense. I mean, I've done some of that. I've gotten a lot better, I think. I mean, as you get older, you try and think of yourself as a more well-rounded person and more and again, I don't want to make it sound like a bad thing, but to me, there's always going to be a pretty face.
Yeah.
I can find a pretty,
there's tons.
It's not that deep. If you're not the things that I want, at some point, yeah, okay, you're a pretty face, but nah, I'm over it. I can find another pretty face. I have enough going for me that I can find the next one. So, but there were times where I would let things drag for at least 6 months because of those things where it's I didn't know what it looked like if I let that person go. I didn't, and I sure as hell didn't want to find out. So
yeah,
it's okay. I'll just keep going.
Yeah. And so it's okay. Also, learn to forgive yourself when you have repeated, or ignored something, and for me, I mean, the last guy I dated, we had a really great year. We had 1 year of just good times, great communication, but there are some really big things that I ignored in the beginning that obviously was not going to lead to anything but just a companionship and not a relationship that I really wanted.
Yeah.
Right? So that was on me. I took full on responsibility on that with me. So if anything, just being clear is kind, because when you're clear about what you want and you're expressing about what you want, you're not wasting anybody's time or energy. And that is something that as we get older and mature, time is something we all value at just the highest level. You know what I mean? There's only so much time in the day. We are only one person. We want to be, I wish there was 3 of me. Holy crap, I'd get so much done and I'd accomplish so much and blah, blah, but there's not, right? So the clear is kind, for sure.
Yeah, no, love that. And wanted to give another reminder, guys, for the link in the show notes for Jess Trains. She is one of the sponsors for the podcast. We kind of figured it's kind of perfect because she is also someone who is over 35, single and dating, and she has helped me actually lose over 40 pounds. And you can get 10% off a session with her by mentioning the podcast. Also, we're always looking for feedback. We're always looking for stories that you have that can encourage someone else. I would love, how cool would it be to get an email hey, listen to the show and wanted to give some encouragement. Here's my story. Here's what I did. And I've been, successfully dating. Yeah,
share your experience.
So Swipe Smart Podcast at gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook and all of the things, and like and subscribe so that we can grow, and help more people and bring you more valuable content. The more we can grow, the more value that you're going to get. And that's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
So
awesome. And that's perfect. I just think that the more listeners we have, the better value they're going to be getting out of the show already. I think it's value packed. We're doing all right, man.
Yeah. It's about community and
absolutely. So be sure, guys, ditch your comfort zone. Get out of their typical, this is my type, I go for that type, and really kind of expand your horizons on that. And be sure to follow us and be on the lookout for a new episode very soon.
Yep. Every Monday and Thursday, we're coming at you with another episode of Swipe Smart Podcast.
There you go.